Think about,
I mean, just the job alone of being a president, no matter who the fuck you are, you're walking into like how many people telling you, the leader now, be like, listen, there's all this shit happening, and you're just gonna let me deal what we've been doing, and you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
okay, yeah, go for it.
all right. And we are live. Welcome to the Millennial Experience podcast. We have a extra special guest today.
Super special guest.
Our friend Chandler Beckstead is
Chandler the
here.
Mandler's here.
And then
Friends
we
for
need someone to
life.
push one of those buttons that's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Applaud.
Yeah.
So I'm Luke Adamson.
And I'm Eddie Ambries.
Yeah, I'd be Chandler Beckstead.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
That'd be
I
me.
think he is.
You should be. I think you
I would
should
hope
try
so.
it. It's fun.
He seems like a pretty cool
It,
dude.
it might be easy.
So today, what are you guys cool with talking about the election?
Yeah.
Everything,
Hell.
no
fucking yeah.
holds barred.
So, because I think
No
it'll be
limits.
interesting because, okay, so from my perspective, there's a few different choices here. Obviously, Trump is not going to be Trump's not anyone's decision here. So we can rule him out. The fact that they gave us the two
Biden.
very close to the
Rule
two
him out of our
worst,
conversation, at least.
the very two worst people possible. What do you, Eddie? What are your thoughts on
On the gem.
vote blue no matter who?
Vote
for
blue no matter
instance?
who. No,
just
I
Red because you're blood.
I'm I've never been a fan of any sort of catchphrase, let's say, that promotes a sort of absolutism. And so I think that just helps to distract to the fact that it's really possible that your interests align a lot more on the other side with someone else or with the majority than you think. And this circus is like really meant to encourage like the whole tribal team play, team choice.
Mhm.
And so, no, I mean, I don't agree with like just vote blue no matter who. But then again, when you look at the facts and you see that there hasn't been much encouragement from the top to take the pandemic seriously until like literally now, when you could have started since like December, then I think there's some cause there to be concerned. If another emergency comes up and it's again taken not seriously.
Yeah. What do you think, Chad?
On the pandemic side, I don't think. I mean, after this, everything's going to change. The flu is going to be taken more seriously than anything, and a positive out of it all will. I'll assume that vaccinations are going to go back up to 100%. I think that's probably the one guarantee
I hope
out of
it
this
goes
whole
up
thing.
at least to like the
Because
high 90s.
if we ever needed proof for pro-disease people, it would be this.
The problem is that all the anti-vaxxers are the same people that are like, this whole pandemic is just completely fake. We don't buy it. So when there is
Yeah.
a vaccine, they're not gonna
There's always
take it.
yeah,
I-
they'll
I-
always have a
But
rationalization.
I bet you
to
they're the
not-
same people that take a flu vaccine or go and get the flu, their
No,
flu
no.
shot every year.
The
I'm-
anti-vaxxers don't get a flu shot.
No, I know that they're not, but I'm sure the anti-vaxxers are wearing masks right now because they know how real this thing is.
I think they're wearing.
Just because it's a worldwide thing, it's not like a local thing. It's not just in the States.
It's-
Like if
I mean, I
if it was a localized thing, then like you could put it to your government. You could be that conspiracy person, but this is over the world.
Don't be afraid to like
This
get
is-
up in there.
This is just everywhere, and it's hurt everything and everyone.
I think I agree with him where you might have some anti-vaxxers at a certain level where they'll put a mask on right now. But, I don't know. Chandler, what do you think? Do you think you can have anti-vaxxers who are wearing the mask for a serious reason, but they won't take the COVID vaccine if it comes out?
No, I think they'll take the vaccine when it
Really?
comes out. Because it's either you.
I don't
I'm
know.
sure
I don't know if
it'll
people
be
who are
it'll be take
anti-vaxxers
the
are for
vaccine.
life.
It'll be like take the vaccine and carry this card around that shows that you're vaccinated and you're safe, so you don't have to wear a mask anymore.
Well, we're hopefully maybe next week or in the next couple of weeks we can have Malia on the podcast because she falls pretty close into that category of it's all a big government conspiracy. Fucking what's his name? The Microsoft guy.
Bill
Bill
Gates.
Gates.
Oh
Bill
my
Gates.
gosh.
She thinks he's
No.
he's the devil and he's
No,
trying to take over the world.
No.
I'm serious.
Holy
So
shit,
there's people
no.
like her that she 100% she thinks the masks are just a means of the government trying to control the people and force us into submission in some way. She thinks vaccines are
one-
all complete. They always hide other
That-
things in the vaccine that like lower our immune system.
Did she ever get her vaccinations?
Mm-mm.
Did she go to public school?
Yeah.
How did she get out of that? Did her
I don't know.
parents like tell her no,
You
or
can
did she
you can
not
do
remember?
a religious exemption.
Does she not remember getting them? Because you
can-
get them when you're young.
We'll have her on the podcast and we'll have to ask her.
Because like
I don't
that's
want to
one.
speak for her.
Okay, because that's one thing I've always wondered. Because it's like a
No,
lot of
when-
anti-vaxxers are
when-
like, I've never gotten it. It's because you were like a
You were
baby
0
when you
years
got
old.
them, or your mom got them, so you didn't have to have them because they carry over for some.
when I needed to turn in my paperwork for school, and the vaccination paper was there, the person who was helping me suggested that if I wanted to, I could use the religious exemption that they had. But at that point, I was a hard believer in vaccine and
What is that?
science.
What's the religious exemption mean? Like, why do you
like,
just?
It's
What's
what
because
their
they're-
reasoning?
because
it's what they're ruling out now.
there
They're making it illegal.
apparently in the Bible there's no germ theory of disease.
It pretty much you can
And
just pray your health back.
so like why
Okay.
would it
That's
why
it,
would
but-
anyone in the right mind
So
who-
because you believe that, you
Yeah.
get to
Yes.
just sign this form that says you don't have to follow. the
Yes,
same rules.
knowing that the facts show differently. It's thanks.
you can
Thank you, Faith,
you can
for
bring-
everything.
yeah, measles.
Man, I should have
Faith.
jumped on that train. I'm gonna start
Faith.
doing that.
Jesus.
Faith. It's like, and well, I mean, it's an important question for me too because, like, my newborn daughter has a couple of her vaccinations already. I'm not sure which one she doesn't have, but I know you have yours, and you
Mhm.
have yours,
Yellow.
and I got mine. So you guys are safe to be around her, but like.
Maybe not Malia.
Maybe not Malia if she doesn't have the vaccine for it yet. Like, fortunately, that's where it comes into play.
Yeah. I guess we'll have her on the
Love her, but,
podcast
like,
and we'll
she
get
couldn't
answers
hold
to
my
that.
baby. And I would want her to hold my baby.
Yeah, but
But-
the pandemic
but
for
awesome.
2020 elections.
Went political.
Wait, I was
And
gonna.
that's where we jumped off. Thankfully, it all kind of tied into political because that's where it is now.
Do you
if you're a
think-
Republican, you do not believe in the vaccination. If you're a Democrat,
It's
you're
so-
No,
too, you're
how
too,
come
you're too,
everything's
you're
so
I think you can
progressive.
find plenty of people
But that's where it is. That's
in around the center.
and
Let's call it
politics.
not the
made-
elite center, but the real people center.
I don't know.
Politics made it that way. Instead of just handing over it to the doctors and going, you know what, let him talk and speak on the behalf of all of us.
Yeah, the
Our
scientists
great
know.
American president decided to step up and speak his mind.
Yeah, people
truthfully
should be
about
drinking
everything.
bleach and stuff.
And that's the part people actually took him serious too. And they're still gonna vote for him, even though he told them to go poison themselves, and they
Yeah.
did.
A couple
They're
people
still
did,
gonna
didn't they?
fucking.
No
oh,
way!
man.
Did people really try
Yes,
it?
people really tried to drink bleach.
I'm gonna
I heard a
confirm
couple
that because
people
I
did.
I
Yes.
cannot
And,
believe
like,
that.
There's even people.
These are probably people older than the people who were eating the Tide Pods.
But it's even like the people where he was talking about like the UV light thing, like that might kill it. So injecting that into you somehow might work. And
He said
Like,
disinfection on the
so
inside.
just to say he said to inject UV light somehow, like to inject UV light. Now to take that at his word, like what he meant it, like you could say that he literally meant like get a fucking needle and a syringe and fill it up with UV light.
Whoa, Jamie, come on.
Sorry. Those ads.
You gotta delete this whole thing.
I was
now.
just looking. There was an article in the Independent. I don't know if that's a reliable source, but it was saying 2 men drank bleach in an attempt to prevent COVID-19.
But like yeah, he literally meant to like fill up a syringe with some UV light and inject
Put
it.
it in.
Not but somebody went online and like defended him, and there's the actual like
Yeah, but
there's
you have
the
to jump a
actual,
lot
like-
of hoops to
well, no,
get
but there's
to
the
that.
actual machine, like the actual like like blood transfusion machine, where it's like that kind of tube,
And it has
like,
a UV.
surgical tube that surround that it gets shot through UV light,
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
pushed through it.
I mean,
So it's killing all the bacteria and everything, and whatever bad stuff, and letting all of that, like whatever they're injecting you into, be clean.
He
Which
probably
makes
heard
sense,
that
but
in some.
he did not mean that.
In
By
some
any
meeting,
means did he not fucking mean that.
he
He's
might
not
have like
that-
heard
I'm
about
not
it
that goddamn
randomly,
smart.
but then he just like started ranting about it. Like, why don't we try this? Like, that's stuff that they should have in meetings
Yes.
in the back room. He shouldn't be spitting like
No.
ideas out in
But,
press
like,
conferences.
But like you can watch the press conference too, and like the doctor standing right behind him, he's like, "Oh, there's a camera." He's just like, Eddie's the doctor. He's like, "You should do UV light and stuff, you know?" Like, yeah, doesn't that sound right? that sounds like a good idea, right? And the doctor's like, "No,
No.
maybe."
It's like, don't.
Like, he turns
Edit that
around.
out. Edit that.
But no,
But what do you guys think about the fact that?
I'm voting independent.
Yeah. Do you have any idea who?
I can't remember her name, but I feel like my vote will be more counted towards her than towards Biden.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's like,
At least I tried to make a difference. That's what I can say.
so
I didn't go blue or red.
Eddie, you might be able to have the perspective of, you know, it.
Yeah,
The next president is going to pick some Supreme Court justices and
Yes.
essentially decide whether or not abortion is going to be legal.
Right.
And to a lot of people, that's a really important thing. So, is it important enough that you can vote for someone that you do not believe in and you would not support as a person to be the president because you know they're potentially going to vote in a Supreme Court justice that could make a law like that or other laws?
That's a big could.
Right.
It's a lot of maybes.
Especially with the biggest flippy floppy president of them all. So
That
it's just
dep-
like-
I mean, okay. Well, that depends if the framing of the question is based on just this one or based on general things that can deeply affect the population. Yes, like the judges, I don't know what qualifications get them to the list that the president chooses, but I think it's really important that they be scientifically literate, and I don't know what power the people have to create that sort of filter to put into people into that position. Isn't this like the strongest like power in the world? Like when decisions go to somewhere, this is
Not
where they end
anymore.
up.
I think they give us the illusion that it is,
Yeah.
but I don't think that.
It's kind of like the same way North Korea says that they're the greatest country in the world.
Like, you really
And
think
they
President,
all really do believe that they are, probably.
You really
because they
think-
don't know any better.
You really think President Trump is actually making all the decisions
Well,
for this
no,
country?
but I mean, not. But he's not the
No.
Supreme Court,
Oh,
though.
no.
That's true. I think the Supreme Court has a lot more power.
Yeah,
than
that's
the
what
president does.
that's why I was saying though that
Well, yeah. Well,
that the
that's-
people who are that level of authority be scientifically literate.
that's
and
like
how-
half the
and how
reason
can
we haven't
we-
gotten anything done in the last 12 years now since
Mhm.
Obama, because Obama was ran by a Republican Senate, like a Republican House.
I thought he
No,
had
no,
the
he
House
had
and
the
the
full
Senate.
Democrat
Did
House
he?
and Senate.
He had both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Democratic House and
Really?
Senate,
Yeah.
and he
And
still
they
didn't get
get
anything
shit
done.
done.
No.
Like, goes to show you. And
Apparently,
then-
that
and
was
then
Mitch
they went,
McConnell.
But then
though.
they went. But
Yeah.
then just to prove the fact, like they went red this time, and with the full red house, and still nothing got done. More got taken away.
Our
And
system
it's-
of government is
It's just
fucked.
And,
It's
oh
just
man, and
fucking
like
it's
that was like
it's not
listen,
progressive enough.
that was like I
No.
can't-
It's
And
not
you-
progressive
that's what I
enough.
don't like about Biden. Like,
Yeah.
for how far right everything's moving,
Yeah.
or everything has been, you can't fight
He's-
that with something from
yeah.
the middle.
In
You
Europe,
need
he's a right
You need
guy.
something way over here to
Yeah.
combat that. You need a revolution,
Yeah.
which is why young people decided to start voting in
Yeah.
this election. And by picking Joe Biden as the candidate, you've just extinguished all of their passion. No young people are going to vote in this election, and if they do, they're going to vote independent.
Well,
They're
that's
going to
kind of
write
the-
in Bernie.
That's kind of
They're going to
the
write in
point,
Andrew
though.
Yang.
Right.
Like,
But-
aren't you going to try to not make a change? So why? Like,
But
you're
I-
gonna try to discourage as much as you can.
In-
That's
in-
the
in-
electoral college.
in all
It's just
fairness-
100% discouragement.
In all fairness, though, too, I mean, if young people wanted Bernie, then we needed more activity from young people at the beginning of the year.
But, I mean,
Then for us to say
70%
they
of young
gave us,
people voted for Bernie.
yes, but how many?
It's true that not that many of them
Yes,
voted
that's what
overall.
yeah.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I wish they would have voted.
We
'cause
needed them to come out and represent because we could have and We didn't, because Obama had a ton of young people too, because they were excited about that.
I still
They
think
were excited about the first black president, and so there was a lot of young activity during those elections. Bernie, more so though, I think he made it more deep though into like the issues for us to think about the future now, and consider things like AI now, how it's gonna affect just. It's not going to be regular handwork now anymore. It's competing against robots who don't eat lunch and don't need pay and don't need medical insurance. So that's the one thing. Like, if I could have just shooken more people up, if I had the power to do that, if there was a superpower I could have had during that time, it would have been to do that, make people just more politically active.
Isn't it weird that right as all these young people had the chance to go out and vote, COVID.
Yeah.
Like, as all the important states were finally getting to where they would have to go out and vote, suddenly you can't go into public spaces. We don't know what this disease is. Like, frantically, it happened to hit right then. I think if it was happening now, people would be like, well, let's just throw a mask on and go vote. But because it was in the middle of all of the confusion about, do we wear masks, do we not, what percentage of people is it killing? Like, that really scared all the young people away from voting, because this was their first time. Like, this was their first chance to go vote, and they're like, I think I'm going to sit this one out because I don't want to die. But all the older people were like, we know how important voting is. I'm going to risk my life and vote for Biden. And that's why he got the nomination, on top of the fact that the DNC basically just gets to pick.
Yeah, no, that's
like,
what I was
right.
saying.
That's
They
the
didn't even
that's
get
the
it. Like, the
thing.
DNC got a pick. If they were smart, they would have just gone with Bernie or Yang. Like, that would have been
Yang
the
would have been
best
interesting,
move
too.
ever. Because if you're trying to get young people to come out and vote, especially if it's just, blue no matter who,
That's
then like,
true.
why wouldn't you want to get somebody that like goes with the old and the young,
And Bernie is
instead
far
of
enough
just some
left
really
that
old
he's
white
not
dude that doesn't even know what he's talking about?
like
Like,
he's
he has no idea what he's talking. He's
He's
losing
losing
his goddamn mind. And hopefully, the only hope with him is if he gets elected, they can give him the grade A drugs that they give every president to get their mind back.
But still, I mean, think about
what they take for like the
seriously.
debates.
think about
Just the job alone of being a president, doesn't matter who the fuck you are. You're walking into like how many people telling you, the leader now, be like, listen, there's all this shit happening, and you're just gonna let me deal what we've been doing, and you're like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
All right.
I don't need to know all this craziness. It's like, let me deal with the shit that I said I was going to deal with. Not all these terrorist threats and aliens and whatever there may be that you don't know, that you're now.
Yeah.
They're now just coming up and be like, yo, this is happening.
And I feel like the role of the president, it's almost like they're there to hire their cabinet that then runs the country.
And like that's the big point.
Like
is
the experts that are going to make the
choices. And that's like the thing
for you.
with Trump's cabinet is like, he doesn't have an expert in anything in the field that there should be experts in.
Almost the worst person on the planet.
The lady that's running the school
do
like
each
the
job.
school board thing.
Betsy DeVos.
Yeah, like she's been in fucking private schools and had her entire life paid for to get through. And then she's like, "Oh yeah, they're the best way to do it because that's all I know. My family paid for everything."
Like,
and
it works
like,
apparently for the people around me. So.
Yeah, she's like, "It worked for me. Like I'm here, right?" And it's like, "You're here because your family gave how much money to Trump in his in his campaign?"
Yeah.
So now you have this quite little like, sorry, but stupid fucking. She's stupid. She's stupid. I'm not that smart, but she's fucking stupid. All right. And she's running our school board, and like the same goes for the environmental board and just all of that.
Is
shit.
she in
It's
charge
like,
of that too?
No, she's not. But the people
but
that
the
are
people
on
that-
it don't
yeah.
even believe it.
They're like the oil people who are in charge of the
there's-
environment.
It's like, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like, oh man, no, we're not
Backwards.
doing this
Not
bad.
freaking-
Like exactly, it's you're having.
That's how you run a business.
It's like you're trying. Like monopoly is illegal, but it's okay if it's in government.
Right. And you can hire all your
And the same
children
goes,
and their husbands.
And the same goes for taxes. It's like it's stealing if I take your money, but it's taxes if the government takes it from you. That's fine.
Yeah.
And they don't even use it for you anymore. Especially here in America, they don't use it for you. We got $1,200.
Yeah.
This COVID
everybody, and not
6
everybody
months
got it.
in.
That's all we got.
6 months in, we got one check. $1,200.
Let's-
Thank you.
Remember where we are in the conversation, because I want to follow that line of thinking about the unemployment benefits and stipend check or stimulus checks. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back.
Hello.
So, Chandler, you were talking about the stimulus and check and stuff. I think
The
what do you-
one that we got.
I
you know?
think, yeah, that was first of all bullshit. Like, the fact that they just created $2 trillion out of thin air overnight, when Biden's whole campaign was run on the fact they were like, Bernie's campaign promises are going to cost like $20 billion. Where are they going to find that?
Little fun fact: if you didn't know, Kanye got some of that money.
What?
Yeah, Kanye West got some of that, like $2 trillion that went to the big businesses.
What?
Yeah.
Anyways, obviously the government can just make money appear if they really want to start a revolution and change shit. Bernie could have just done that, because obviously you can just make money out of nothing.
Right.
That's
But-
also a problem with our government as well, is the fact that they can just print money whenever they want to.
Yeah, they got to stop that.
Like when they bail
That's
out.
not a good thing.
When they bail out.
Yes.
The big banks and shit.
Yeah.
I think the part about the unemployment benefits, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I've been ranting to a lot of people about the fact that all the people that are going to work still, that are essential employees, are getting paid the same amount that they were to work,
Mhm.
I was gonna say
and
that too.
they're at risk out there,
Yeah.
risking their lives.
Like no
with
hazard
COVID.
pay.
No hazard pay, no nothing. But all the people that are non-essential, that got laid off during this time, that we don't need to be working, they're not obviously not a part of the backbone of the economy.
Mhm.
They're not only getting their regular pay, but also $600 a week on top of their regular pay. And all the people still working are just getting their regular pay. How is that rational
I think
at all? Shouldn't it be the other way
yes,
around?
it should have been the other way around.
We
It
should
have
get
been like,
600 a week
if you
more
were an
if you're
essential
working.
worker, you should have gotten the extra money.
And they
If you
should
were
just
staying
get what they
home,
were already
you
getting
should have
paid.
got
Yeah,
what
I
you were
think
getting paid.
the
Both
essential
of my jobs
workers.
were essential.
So like the grocery store workers, I think they should have benefited first and the best out
Yeah.
of it.
Police officers, firefighters, like
Yeah.
people that have to work to keep
Yeah.
our whole world
like
running.
the basics
Yeah,
running.
I mean, I'm
which was
doctors,
the which was the,
nurses,
the people that we were
nurses,
like.
But I mean, even in my case, like I do maintenance for a property complex. Like that ended up being essential. If your
Like, if-
toilet's clogged, you
I
can't
think
get it done.
if you're
If your
still
shit's broken,
if you're still being asked to work during this time and risking your life out there, there should be $600 a week hazard pay. That's what the government should have paid out. And
yep.
I'm all for employment benefits to help people still
Amen.
be able to pay their bills and stuff.
Mhm.
But
No
it
one should
shouldn't be
go
any more than what they were already making just to sit at
Yes.
home and do nothing.
And I mean, I reaped that benefit. I mean, my wife didn't make that much, nearly that much. She made maybe like $800-900 for a paycheck, and she
Shout
was
out.
getting
Shout out to Debbie.
yeah. Shout out to Debbie.
Shout out to Debbie.
And you know, like that stimulus check was every 2 weeks, or sometimes every other week. It was, you could apply for it, and it was $1,500 like up front. Boom, there it is. And it's shitty to say, but we made more money in COVID than we were like both
Yeah.
of us working.
Like busting your ass.
Yeah,
Every-
like she was working every day, and I mean, granted, like we were paying for Lucy's school, which shout out to like the fucking prices up here for childcare and shit. It's an arm and a leg just to get to live up here, let
Yeah.
alone put your kid in school.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Is stupid.
Yeah.
But that also helped out. Her being, thankfully, she went into labor at the time, like just before all this kind of happened, and the hospitals were empty, only no visitors, no nothing. It was just being
Mhm.
her. That was super nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but other than that, like, she's been getting paid to do. I mean, thankfully, she's been getting paid to take care of my kids, pretty much.
Yeah.
While I
Yeah,
work,
that's
both
good.
in my job still.
I agreed with Andrew Yang about that, where like mothers that are raising children, there should be some sort of recognition for educating the next generation who's going to be part of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Well, it's a job to stay home and make sure that they're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
for
It's
sure.
not staying home and
tiresome.
doing
It's hard
nothing.
work.
I don't want to stay home and hang out with, both of them for 8 hours a day. That's just madness. And she decides to do that as a freaking career.
Yeah.
Like, she takes care of infants as a career.
Yeah, she's a saint.
I could not do it.
But it gives people no incentive. Like the people that could be going back to work right now, but they're making $600 a week on top of their normal pay to sit at home, to hang out and do nothing, play video games, whatever they want to do.
So what was the $600 pay? That's the unemployment?
No, unemployment pays whatever you were making.
Okay.
Like same
Not even,
paychecks.
they pay like a third of what
Yeah,
you
I
were
thought it
making.
was a part. Yeah, I
bro.
thought it was a part of it.
It's like a third of what you were making. Like, if you made, so usually if Gabby were to go on unemployment for what she was making, she'd usually get like maybe $600 for the 2 weeks. It would
But-
be enough to put food on your table.
No, with the CARES Act.
But with this, the COVID Act and everything, like whatever this whole COVID thing, they've been getting, I can tell they've been getting 3. Like, she's been getting 3 different, I could pull it up on my bank account. Like, it's 3 different deposits of $650
A week?
every 2 weeks to a week. Like, and not anymore. Like, it's done now. Like, now she
'Cause-
can't even, because Leah opened up the business, the daycare again, for 2 days. 2 days a week. They open Wednesdays and Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
Now Gabby's off unemployment because technically she has a job. She's just not working there
Right.
because they're not open all the time. Like, how the fuck does that make any sense?
That doesn't make sense. But I thought it was written into the CARES Act because I've seen, I've had other friends talk about how much they're getting paid, and they're getting what they were making at their work, the same paychecks they were making biweekly. They're getting from the government as unemployment, and then on top of that, they're getting $600 per week. So just in that $600 a week, one of my coworkers' girlfriends, he said in the time since COVID started till now, that she's gotten over $10,000 just in that additional 600. She's gotten 10 grand that she's put in the bank.
People are getting like
so
overpaid
true.
or something?
They're
No.
getting their regular pay plus 600 a week.
If you were
That's
unemployed,
$2,400
But
bucks a
this
month.
is for like specific type of work, like
No,
government or
anyone
anyone?
that's on unemployment right
at least
now.
for Colorado.
anyone that's
at least for Colorado.
Unemployment.
Colorado was
That's
was adding that like 600, or Colorado was like, we're
they
gonna
were
pay
adding
you what you were making,
Okay.
and then you're gonna get this on top of it
Okay.
because it's the COVID
Yeah.
whatever act bill that they put in.
I think that's the CARES Act, though. I think
Yeah,
that's federal.
That's the CARES Act.
think
I
that's
think
the whole
that would have.
country.
I think
But
that
still.
makes. I think that makes more sense if you decide we're gonna keep things closed
Like-
and make sure people stay home.
Because is this giving everyone a chance to save up between now and when they cancel unemployment benefits? Like,
Either
what's
way,
their
like,
plan with giving them extra money? Is my whole
I
thing.
could say when we got the COVID check, the big one that came out to everyone, the first the one whatever you want to call it,
the stimulus.
yeah, the stimulus check, like that was nice. Like, I'm sure everybody paid off some debt. I know I did. I paid off some bills that I still owe and shit.
But the value of the dollar dropped
Oh,
like
100%.
by half
Oh,
when they
God,
sent that out.
100%.
So did it really help
and no,
anyone?
but like, no, it's not.
No.
It's not the way the whole system is.
The
set up
ripple
to fail.
effect from that is going to last generations.
It's gonna be the housing. That's gonna be the housing crisis.
You
all
can't
over
create
again.
$6 trillion out of nothing.
No, and that's what they did.
The
with
dollar
housing.
just went to almost.
I'd like to
nothing.
see if there's a correlation to what your social programs are in your country and how well you were able to deal with COVID.
Oh, there's 100%.
You know.
Oh yeah.
They're like, you could pull it up right now. Like everywhere, like Canada, like there are places in like
Like everywhere
Europe
just
and
seemed to have
everywhere.
recovered well
Well, not only like Germany,
because they weren't worried about.
like Germany, like had everybody stay the fuck home, and they paid everybody and like sent everyone food, and they just did it, and then it was fine.
And then it just went away.
Then
And
they were
that's
like,
because
"All right,
you
bye."
have
Same
yeah,
with New
and
Zealand.
I think that's because you have a structure that lets you do that easily
Yes.
already.
Like they
You
all,
know.
you know what? We got the money. Just pay the homeowners, pay everybody. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
No hiccups. We went, we're not going to pay. We're not going to pay. Now that everybody owes a lot of money, we're going to give you a little bit of money to pay.
Yeah.
Now,
And that's it.
and
for
that's
3
it.
months.
And now that you paid a little bit and all the banks can stop getting off your ass, we're going to let it sit for a little bit longer till we have to give you another one.
The stimulus checks don't make sense to me on top of the unemployment plus the $600 a week. Like, if someone didn't get unemployment, it makes sense for them to get the stimulus. If someone's still working, they shouldn't get the stimulus.
It's just
if
like
someone's getting unemployment, no stimulus.
Earlier, like it used to be, unemployment was like you could have a part-time job and be unemployed and collect like unemployment, like, and you would still get that. But now it's not like that. Now it's you have a part-time job working 1 day a week.
You're employed.
And now you don't get that money anymore. So now you're stuck working that shitty job, making $24 for the
not
week.
making ends meet at all.
And trying to find a better job while you're doing that.
But you can't get unemployment because you're employed.
And it's like, how do they expect you to live to get a better job?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, no, they made it so you have to
back in like the
rely on
50s, they used to,
money.
if someone was working 20 hours a week transitioning between jobs, they were still called unemployed.
I mean, they were just
now
talking,
they're
like,
not.
unfortunately it was past our time, but like they were talking about it just on the Rogan podcast with this, I can't remember, this Pete something, this economist dude, but
Oh, Peter Schiff?
yeah, that guy, like he was just like talking about like how it was back in the day, back in the 60s and stuff, when you pulled up to a gas station and what happened?
10 people came out to change your oil, change your spark plugs.
Yeah, they checked
like,
it, but I mean, and then Rogan goes to show like, yeah, the cars ran like shit, and you had to do that to make sure everybody would live.
But at the same time, the economy was set up in a way that...
There wasn't a minimum wage. It was like you go out and you worked for tips, but at the same time, like if you worked at the gas station, you were like learning to be a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to do all this stuff.
You were
and then you would
skills.
open your own business to be a mechanic.
That's the thing.
It was never, you have to pay somebody this much to do a stupid, dumb job that a kid can do.
The interesting argument about the whole minimum wage thing that I'm torn on it. Because,
I am too.
Because
it's how the system is.
For me, it's like... Your goal in life should not be to flip burgers and feed all your kids by flipping burgers.
Yes.
Your goal in life should be to gain skills and work your way up and make more and more and more money and get a job. Also, if you're working at a job flipping burgers and making nothing, quit that job and get a different job.
The shitty pay should be an incentive to get a better job.
Yeah, like if employers are paying too little, don't work for those employers.
So like
work for someone
we can agree
else.
with that. Like when we were in high school, like it was like you got
yeah,
a
but
job
doesn't
at a
that
fast food
depend?
restaurant.
Doesn't that depend a lot on how many jobs are available around you? And it's like, are you gonna start telling people to drive further away then?
And that's the point. Like,
add on to
it
your
should be a
expenses to find
transitional job
too,
is the
'cause
point, while you're looking for something better.
Yeah,
it was kind of like when we got a Walmart out in Maricopa. Half of Maricopa fucking applied to work there,
Right.
and a lot of small businesses closed. Like a lot of places closed down. There weren't a whole lot to begin with, but like whatever there was, definitely did.
Are now going to have to compete with
super cheap prices next door. Right. On top of all of the money that they're putting into that economy is just going right back to them.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Because you get an employee discount.
So it's almost like corporations were not a big something you had to deal with back in that time when you were able to do things that way.
In Maricopa. I unloaded boxes there, and it was like, and thankfully, like I never like bought my groceries there. I never did anything because it was like, then how much am I really getting paid to work here if I'm just giving you my money back?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, why would I want to give you my money back?
It's I'm like not its even own economy.
Yeah, and I'm not even like getting that big of a savings. Like
could you agree though that that corporation could have afforded to pay you more?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. The government, like we were just saying, like at the beginning of it, they could have just gone, you know what? Instead of handing out $2 trillion to the major companies and shit to try to entice them to stay here, and go, look, don't fire everybody, just like send them home, and then we'll give them a check every once in a while once they start getting pissed. Instead of doing that, they should have gone, here's $2 trillion to help all of the homeowners, to help everyone that this is going to affect right now. You can't work, let us pay you your rent. Stay home. Don't go out. Let us pay your rent.
Right.
Let us pay for your groceries.
Anything that would have kept people in home.
Safe.
Yeah.
Just safe in general.
I agree.
Let the government pay you to stay home. Not pay the big businesses to keep their business here and then let you suffer.
Right.
Yeah.
Pick up the tab.
And I mean, you being in like the apartment complex business too, there are some places that are kicking people out.
Yeah.
And like, especially living in the places that we live, you could easily kick every person out of this apartment complex today and fill it back up tomorrow without missing rent.
That's true.
You go, I got an apartment for you, and they go, I'll be there.
That's why it's
insane.
The regulations are important. Like, I'm glad the governor decided that you can't, like, but that ends July 24th.
Yeah.
The non-eviction clause in the CARES Act.
Like, there are different ways to help you still pay. Like, there were there before this. Like, that I didn't even know about. Like, the town of Telluride has shit. That, like, they have to help you pay
I get
rent.
those checks all the time. Like, the Telluride Foundation, Tri-County Health.
Yeah.
They are paying people's rent right now, which is amazing. And I think they have those funds saved up for times like these.
Yeah, and it's not even just, like, they just have those funds. Like, that's...
And
like, what
basically it's getting paid by
to,
the
like,
government.
The right thing. Like, that's government done right.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And unfortunately,
I'm curious to
it's
see...
just been going wrong.
Because, like, the governor's orders and stuff, basically those limit property managers and people like that from evicting people and from charging them late fees. But think about the people that now haven't paid rent in 3 months, that now owe 3 months of rent. And as soon as these orders go out of effect and that next month rolls around, they're going to have to find a way to pay 3 months worth of rent now. So how many months can you really let this go on without somebody stepping in and paying those fees?
And then that goes back to, like, how government works in general nowadays. Not what it was intended, like, what it was intended for was all of us got together and went, hey, we need somebody to represent us on a bigger stage so nobody messes with our rights or the way we do things. That's what government was. It was like, this is what we are. Defend us. All right, we will.
Yeah, defending our rights.
And now it's corporation. It's what it is today. It's like the people do not matter whatsoever.
It's defending Wall Street.
Yes, it's making sure that
defending
this
business.
fake Wall Street, this fake. We've all watched Rick and Morty. Let me show you how to topple a government by changing a 1 to a 0.
Yep.
And it means nothing still.
It's just bits in a computer.
Yeah, it means nothing.
Yeah. It's true.
And it will
all
all
imaginary.
go over. But it goes back to what I was going to say. It's the government going, look, you can't pay for it. Let us give you money, and then you can pay for it. And then you go, oh, yeah, that's what we have government for, is to give people money. And then they're like, yeah, see, and then we give Enron money for fucking everything up and knowingly doing it. And then going, oh, we didn't know that. We didn't know you could do it like that. And just big businesses in general.
Bailing out car
out.
companies and oil companies and fiduciary hedge funds.
And it's like, that's why, like, what is Sweden or Norway, where they're like really capitalist. It's like, if you don't do good, you don't float. We're not going to give you the money.
Sweden. They're very.
And everywhere that's got big money there is because they're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Do they have corporations though? The way we see corporations.
Yeah,
but they let businesses fail.
But they don't bail them out.
Yes, they don't bail them out, because then that's like what their whole podcast was about. Kind of pretty much. He's like, if you bail out a failing business, you're only hurting the businesses that are doing good. Because now the businesses that are doing okay have to pay more for the same stuff. They have to invest in different ways to try to beat you, instead of hiring your people to come and work for this business that's actually working and doing good.
If they
now money's being wasted on this failed business. Why, if something fails, why are you going to let it pass?
Yeah, that's not capitalism.
You know, if a car steering isn't going to work, are you going to sell the car? Like, no, nobody, like, you can, it turns on, but it's not going to turn when you go to turn.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want this then.
Yeah.
Your business is going to fail. Oh, I have a car that when you turn it on and drive, you can turn it. Oh, well, I'm going to invest over here.
Right.
He fails. Metal just became cheaper.
But what the government does is bails out the car that doesn't turn.
Yeah, they bail out the car that doesn't turn.
And then the one that does can't compete.
Exactly. It's like, oh, you still get all your same materials and stuff now for the same price, and I have to pay more because you got it. You got more money for free.
Right, but we're talking like here when they're bailing out corporations, right? Because it's not like small businesses are getting bailed out.
That is what's here. Yeah, exactly. Small businesses aren't getting bailed out. And that's what I think I told you the other night, like, for this whole stimulus check for the $2 trillion thing, a small business was put at 500 people.
Yeah, that's a small business.
For a small business. There is not one.
That's insane.
There is not one business in Telluride. Main Street Telluride.
That has 500.
That got
That's
that got that money.
Right.
They all had to shut down and do their thing. Nobody got money. But I bet you the Madeline got the money. I bet you the Clomber got the money. All these big name hotels that definitely have over 500 people.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Because they're a giant
Or
corporation.
at least 500 people.
Yeah.
And, like, what did that do to the mom and pop hotels
It
around
hurt
here?
them.
Fucked them up.
Small businesses and the average person that wasn't working enough hours to get unemployment. Those
So-
are the two
And not
people
to shame
that
the
got-
So,
Madeline,
hey,
because
so-
they actually kept their employees and
Oh,
they did their
man.
word. Like, great hotel. Shout out to the Madeline.
We've got like a minute
Shout out
left.
to the Madeline. But
Got,
like,
like,
still,
A minute left.
just to put it in perspective, that's how that whole thing worked. Is we got fucked by our own system, and now we're still gonna let it happen.
Yep.
Nothing's gonna change. Unfortunately, nothing's gonna change.
Not with the potential
Let's-
leadership.
let's-
that
We
we
all
have
need to get
coming in.
politically active. Then
Let's save.
we
let's
actually need
talk
to vote
about
in
the
people
change
that we.
for the next session here. Let's talk about
Yeah.
what could change.
Yeah.
All right. That's our time. Thank you so much for everybody who made it this far and listened to the podcast. Chandler, thank
Chandler
you
the
so much
Mandler,
for being
This is
on.
fun.
our very very best friend.
I'm sure we'll have you on all
Lots
the
of
time.
fun.
So, unless
As long
everybody in the comments is like, "Hey,
Yeah,
we
fuck
don't
that
like
guy."
that guy."
He kept breathing really heavy into the mic.
That was really good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have
Thank
a good day.
everyone.
Be happy.